You may be in a situation where you need to buy a new string, either because the one you have now is too worn out, or maybe you have a bow and you just don't have a string. You lost it, or it came without one. So you go online, you find out the length of your bow, and you order a string, and everything seems fine. But before you go and buy any random string, there's one thing you really need to know. So one of my viewers sent in a photograph of his bow, which was broken, and he asked me what he should keep in mind in the future to avoid this sort of thing happening again. And at first thought, I figured, well, most bow failures or breakages are manufacturing faults. Bows, unfortunately, aren't perfectly made all the time. There are quality issues depending on which bows you get, and some will break. But when I saw the photograph, the first question I asked him was this the original string? And when you see this photograph, which I put right here, you'll realize right away what the problem actually was. So as you can see, the breakage isn't a delamination as we normally expect from limbs which have a defect or have been stored in poor conditions. The breakage is actually the limb tip nearly shearing off. So the string has basically caused the limb to break vertically, and it's almost completely snapped off. And the reason why I asked if this was the original string was because this is something which happens if you use the wrong string. Now, what does that mean? I've actually made a mini series on string materials as part of my string making series, so you can check that out if you want a lot more explanation. But the short version is that there are two primary string materials used in bow making. One is Dacron, and the other one is what's called Fastflight. Fastflight itself is actually a registered brand name from Brownell, but people use it interchangeably for most modern high-performance strings, and they include different blends of materials like Dyneema, Spectra, and they go under different brand names too. But basically, Fastflight strings are a type of string which are meant for high performance and higher speeds. You more often see them on the modern recurves, including the Olympic style bows, as well as compound bows. Some traditional bows are made to be used with Fastflight, so bows like the Samix Age are Fastflight compatible, but many aren't, and you can probably see where this is heading towards. Dacron, as a string material, is somewhat stretchier, which means it's a little slower. You might lose a bit of arrow speed, but it's a stretchier material. But it is the preferred option for most traditional bows. And the reason being is that that extra bit of stretch makes it more forgiving and less stressful on the limbs. And this is what leads us towards what happened with this bow. So because this was not the original string, the owner ordered another one online, and the other one was a Flemish twist Fastflight string. And I figured right away that the bow that he had was likely not made to be used with Fastflight strings. So after prolonged usage, I'm not sure how long had the bow with the new string, but after prolonged usage, the extra stress on the limbs from the Fastflight string caused it to fail. Now, why does this happen? Because most traditional wooden bows don't have strong reinforced limb tips, or the fiberglass they're using isn't really made to be handling that kind of stress. So that's why you see the failures, especially on limb tips. Now, I haven't personally seen one because we normally use the right bowstrings, but this is not uncommon for people to accidentally mix up strings when buying them online. So don't just look at the length of the string, but look at the material. Again, there are lots of exceptions. The rule of thumb being traditional bows prefer Dacron, modern bows prefer or can use Fastflight. But many traditional bows are now made to be Fastflight compatible because people like that extra speed. So that's the lesson of the day. Make sure that when you buy a bowstring that you know that your bow can use Fastflight if you are buying a Fastflight string. Not all strings are the same, so that's why you need to make sure it's the right kind of string. If you're not sure, look it up. Most bow models will list on the sales page or a different store page whether or not it uses a Fastflight string. Most of the time, bows which can use a Fastflight string are shipped with one. And the bag itself will usually have a label saying Fastflight or whatever material it is. This is a bowstring from Simon's Bow Company, which I use for the Simon Raptor, and it does in fact say here the material is Spectra 652. So I know that if I do buy or make a replacement bowstring, I can use these high performance strings for that particular kind of bow, but I might not use this kind of string for this kind of bow, depending on whether or not this one is Fastflight compatible. You can often tell by looking at the limb tips whether they are made from a phenolic material, which is a hardened plastic, or it's reinforced some way. So those can be used, but you got to be careful. And if you're not sure, look around or ask. Normally someone has a similar kind of bow, or you take a photograph and ask on the forum, or ask at the club whether you can or not. Like we said, the safer option is Dacron if you're not sure, but if you know you can use Fastflight, it's safe. But if you mix up Fastflight with the older style traditional limb tips, then you may find that it's too stressful and it will break. So that's a quick tip there. Hopefully keep that in mind. And if you have any experiences of limbs breaking because of the string, do post your experiences below, because we do want to learn from each other. Okay, thanks for watching. I hope this helps, and hopefully we'll see you next time.